Good morning. So today we're inside and we're gonna make some mozzarella cheese. So I went to the Homestead Festival and I went to a talk on cheese making, and she said to make a cheese that your family likes and make it over and over and over and over and over until you get it, until you just, you just can make it just without probably looking at the recipe, anything. So mozzarella cheese has been my cheese because we do eat a lot of mozzarella cheese, and this seems to be the easier one for me to do. So I did make it. I have made it before, and I did make 1 gallon of it, but today we're making 4 gallons because I have so much milk, and this is a great way to use it up. So here I have this. This is actually like a water bath canner pot, but the reason that I bought this one, I have to be careful because it's very thin on the bottom. But the reason I bought this one is because my other pot will only hold 2 gallon. So let me show you real quick. It's already setting, but I just added the rennet, and we incorporate it with an up and down motion. We just don't want it to swirl. And I have already really incorporated that, but I'm just showing you. I have this really long spoon that I use, and you can see it's already started to pull out and curdle up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on this, and then I'm going to tell you what I did right before this. So to start off, I did put 4 gallons of milk in here. One of them was fresh this morning. The other 3 are from the 3 previous days. So this is my recipe. Let me see if I can remember her name, because it is not coming to me right off the top of my head. But I can share that below. But anyways, this is a citric acid mozzarella, and so I believe people can use like lemon juice and stuff like that. That's what I have used before, but I did have citric acid, and this is one of these. This is a free like cheese starter, whatever, I don't know, something free that she gives away, that she has on her blog or somewhere, I think, or in an email. I can't remember. I'll share it if I remember where it's at. This is citric acid that I have actually had. This is non-GMO. It's food grade and all that good stuff. So this is what she uses. So you're supposed to use 1 to 1.5 teaspoons of this citric acid per gallon, depending on how fresh your milk is. So if your milk is really fresh, you use 1.5. If it's not as fresh, you use 1. So I had fresh milk, so I did use like 1.5 for that one, and yesterday's milk 1.5, and then the other 2 days I used 1, so I used a total of 5. So I'm kind of experimenting a little bit and gonna see how this works. She does like 6 gallon at a time. I don't have I do have 6 gallon, but I feel like maybe some of it's too old, but so we'll see. But this should make 4 gallon of mozzarella. Now I did make mozzarella about a week ago out of 4 gallon of milk, and I only got 2 pounds of mozzarella, and I knew something was off because the whey didn't look right. It still kind of looked like milk, so it just didn't pull it all out. So again, this is the citric acid. I've had this for a while. I'm not even sure why I had it. Maybe for cheese making when I was going to a long time ago, or not a long time ago, but a little ways ago. I've had this for a little bit. Okay, so what I just well, let me go back to this. So the first thing she has you do in this recipe is actually put your milk in here, warm, fresh, cold, whatever it is that you have. And then you add the citric acid. You incorporate it. Then you heat this up to 90 degrees. Shut the temperature off. Then you add in your liquid rennet. Now this is organic vegetable rennet. And this is what I have. This is, don't tell anybody, but this is actually expired. But I tried it with 1 gallon and it works. So I'm going with the expiration date as maybe a suggestion. It seems to work still, so we're going with it. You can buy calf rennet. You can buy this one. I'm kind of weirded out by the calf rennet, but it's nature's way of coagulating milk, so I guess that's how it works. But anyways, so this is the one that I bought before, and this is the one I'm using now, and it works. I'm just curious. Should probably look up how they actually get organic vegetable rennet. Okay, so maybe I should look up and see what's in calf rennet, because if it's like natural or whatever, this is organic, but it has some weird, I don't know, I feel like it has weird ingredients. But anyways, so she talked about something I didn't really know. And if I look a little, I don't know, I have this sinus pressure right here. It's been really bad for a few days, and it's coming back this morning as well. It's usually worse in the morning, so probably not the greatest time to do this video. But anyways, so she talked about, which I never really thought about, and I guess all baby mammals do this, maybe. I don't really know. You'll have to let me know in the comments below. But so a calf when it drinks its mother's milk, because of how their stomachs are, it goes in, it has that rennet in their stomach. So it actually creates cheese, or coagulates that milk, creates a solid, and they use that, and that's what they digest and use for food. I thought that was so cool. Like, God's creation is so amazing. How he's, like, everything, like how it's made, and just, you know, how everything works and how it's meant to, and how we have stuff in us and that like breaks down and takes care of stuff. It's just really cool. So that was something I learned. I did not know that. And I always wondered why, like, calf rennet, why? But now it makes total sense, because that's how the calves digest their milk, and that's how they make food, and that's how they digest it. Okay, so this is gonna have to sit for about 30 minutes to an hour. I am going to leave it for an hour, which I do need to set a timer, because if you've watched my videos, you know that that's very important for me, because I will forget. So I'm going to set that timer, and then we'll be back, because after that, we're going to see if there's a clean break in the curds, and we're going to cut them if that is the case. The timer went off, so we're going to check the cheese for a clean break. If it doesn't clean break, we'll wait like 10 more minutes, cover it back up and wait. But I'm hoping. I really haven't had trouble with this, except for the last time, and I think I used the wrong amounts of stuff. So let's take the lid off. Yeah, see, this is what I thought. This doesn't look right. This is what it looked like before. So maybe I need to set my timer for 30 minutes and not 60. I don't think we're gonna get a clean break, because usually you can stick your knife in here and kind of pull it and it will break. And that is not necessarily, that's not what I'm looking for. So you can see that it's actually down underneath the whey. All right, let's read our directions. So this is what the directions say. So you're supposed to check for a clean break, which we did not get. But if you notice that your curds have sunk below a layer of whey, your curds have acidified to the stretching stage already. So that's what I'm assuming. This is what happened last time. So we can move on. We can cut the curds, let them sit for 5 minutes between each layer of cuts, which takes a little bit. And so we skip step 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then we go right to 11, which is heating it up using a wooden spoon, heating it up, and paying attention to the curds to make sure that they start getting stretchy and kind of clump together and stretch without breaking. So I guess I will go ahead and start cutting these. Back off, and I usually use a really long knife like this. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to cut it. I'm gonna cut it this way, and then after I cut it this way, I will set the timer for 5 minutes, come back, cut it the other way, set the timer for 5 minutes, come back and cut them like this way using a metal spatula. Back after 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and cut these curds. I'm trying to cut them kind of small. Trying to make sure I go all the way to the bottom of the pot. I think I'm forgetting that on some of them. There we go. Oops. Okay, 5 more minutes. All right, next round. Now you can see that they've really sunk underneath, so I'm going to use this spatula, and it's just kind of by feel, because I don't, can't really see them. So I'm just kind of cutting them up. Okay, set the timer for 5 more minutes. And then I'll probably come back and cut the rest of the way down. All right, let's go ahead and cut these one last time, way down in there. I'm still gonna have rather large ones. You can kind of see that some of these are still pretty good size, and like those. So we'll kind of have to, they'll break up a little bit when I stir them up. But if you see any of them in your pot while you're stirring, you can always kind of break them up a little bit. I'm planning to go ahead and follow directions through the steps. I'm not going to skip the steps and see what happens this time, because my whey does look better than it did before. It does actually look like whey. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on a little bit and go ahead and get this started to heat up and stir it occasionally, because I don't want it to scorch, because remember, I do have this thin bottom pot, and just kind of make sure that these are not in huge pieces, but I will stir these and get this to about 106 degrees. The thermometer over here, instant read thermometer, and then I do have the heat on a little bit, and I'm just going to continue to stir this until this reaches about 106 degrees, and I'm also going to break these up as I go. So we'll see what it looks like when this part is done. So we're almost to 106 degrees Fahrenheit, and if you can tell, whenever, you may not be able to tell, but I can tell whenever I'm stirring that some of them are really massing, kind of sticking together now, which is what we want. So I'm just going to keep stirring this until we reach that 106, and then I'm going to let it set for just a second or so, because these are already falling to the bottom, and then we're going to strain off some of this and add some salt. We did reach 106 degrees, so I did shut the heat off, and as you can see, they are not kidney bean size, but they are definitely like kind of massing together. I'm just going to stir these a little bit, and then we're just going to kind of leave them, let them settle to the bottom, and we're going to strain off some of this whey. I didn't salt the last batch, I actually forgot, and so I need to make a salt brine out of this and put it in the other that I have. Here's some mozzarella cubes that I made, and they don't taste very good because they're not salted. I'm going to make a salt brine today, which is one of the things that she does say you can do. So I'm going to make a salt brine and put it in that jar, and hopefully that will add some more flavor to that. Salt is super important, apparently, in cheese making, of course, in any food preparation, because it does make our food taste better. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this colander, we're going to put it down in here, and that way it pushes the little curds down and I can dip off the whey. So I'm going to dip off about half. Now, of course, you don't want to throw this away. You don't want to put it down your drain or anything. If you don't want to do anything with it, that's fine. If you have a garden, you can put it in your garden. Of course, don't do it if it's hot, but it's actually a really great fertilizer, so you can use in your garden. So if I have extra whey that I don't want to do anything with, I can feed it to the chickens, I can put it in my garden, all kinds of things you can do with it. You can also make caramel with it, which is what I may do with some of it. Okay, that's about all I'm putting in that bowl. I did add a little bit of whey back in there because I could see the curds sticking up out of the whey, and we do want about 2 to 3 inches above the curds, of whey above the curds, and I believe we're going to let these kind of hang out. We're going to add some salt to the pot, though. This is what I did not do last time. I was kind of debating. It's taken me a little bit to figure out how much salt I actually want to try putting in the whey, and I think I'm just going to do what the recipe says, and it's only going to be half a cup. I'm not multiplying that by 4 and adding 2 cups of salt to the brine. I don't know. I don't think, I mean, I took out quite a bit of the brine, so I'm trying to kind of see, you know, like approximately how much is in here. You know, maybe a cup of salt. So I do have cheese salt, but I used it a time before and I didn't like it as much because I think it's older. It might have lost its flavor. So I do have this real salt, and we don't like this size as much, this kosher salt. We do like the fine ground, and I probably am going to regret adding this possibly to this, but I'm gonna see how much is in here, and I'm gonna add about a cup to it, and then we'll stretch the cheese in there. Redmond salt, like beautiful. It's like so cool looking. You can see that it has different minerals. Now this one, of course, you can see because this is the kosher, so it's a little bit bigger. All right, there's our cup of salt. And now we are going to turn on the heat, and we're going to use a wooden spoon, and we're going to stir just to prevent scorching so we can heat the whey. And this is when it's going to mass together and kind of form a big gooey mass is what, I don't know, a stretchy mass. It's going to kind of look like taffy is what I kind of think it looks like. So you can already see it's already sticking together. So, and it will definitely scorch if it sits in the bottom. So we definitely want to just kind of, mix this around, get this all this incorporated. And as this heats up, this will start, it's kind of tough now, but it's going to start getting really stretchy, which is really cool. So as it heats up and you start stirring it, you can see it's not completely, but you can see how it's kind of getting stringy. Eventually it will all kind of string together and be a big clump. I just want to kind of, fold it. Not really sure exactly how you fold it with, a wooden spoon, but you do want to work that salt in here. Alright, so because they are clumping and they're kind of stretching, if they are stretching without breaking, now some of those are falling off of there, but this is stretching without breaking. Not a very good example. Let's see if we can get it to stretch. Kind of stretching. You can see just kind of keeps going. That's what we want. We want it to do that right there. So we're going to turn the heat off. And we're going to start folding it. If you have heat resistant gloves, or you can use your spoon to kind of fold it into a better mass. So now that we have the heat turned off, if you have heat resistance gloves, this will be a lot easier. But see how we're getting all these over here and kind of squishing them together, and they're forming this larger mass. That's what we want. See how big that is? That's what we want. See how squishy it is. See, like taffy, kind of like taffy, just with a completely different taste. And don't mind that, that is the salt, that is the Redmond salt. I went ahead and skimmed off the rest of it that's not wanting to kind of group together, and I'm going to go add it to the rest of it. So here's the rest of it. I'm trying to get off as much of the liquid whey as possible. So you can see it's just kind of like a big mushy mess. I am going to weigh this and see how much I have this time, because it does feel like I have more. I do want about 4 pounds. So let's get the scale and see what that does. So I don't want all of it as one large mass. So probably, see if we can, I just keep stretching. Perfect. Okay, see how much is here. We've got 2 pounds almost exactly. And then see how much this big piece is. 3 pounds. Wow. So I got a lot of cheese in that one. That was so much better. Okay, so I would really like these in like 1 pound chunks, I guess. So let's see what we can come up with. All right, 1 pound, 1 pound. And as it cools, of course, it doesn't want to. About 1 pound. Okay. My camera died and I had to charge it. So we're gonna go ahead and finish this video, and I'm gonna show you what I got out of the milk so far. So here we have 5 pounds of cheese. Now I did put these in plastic baggies. I don't really have anything other. I'm gonna have to come up with something else that I would like to use. I do have some reusable freezer bags that I've already used for other cheese. So these are gonna go in the freezer because I do have some in the fridge. But I also went ahead and bottled this 2 quarts of acidic whey, because this is what I can use to make caramel whey, which is actually really good in coffee. I haven't tried it on ice cream yet. I do have more whey over here though. So if you notice, most of the milk is whey, and so it just pulls the curds out and we form the cheese, and then we have lots of whey left. So this is whey before I salted it. It's going to go in the garden. This is what the whey looks like after. This is what comes out of the cheese after I took off part of the whey and then salted it and then kind of mixed it up. This is the whey from that. So all this is going in the garden. So I'm going to have some nice natural fertilizer for the garden. So I'm going to use that. So this is 4 gallons of milk. So that really opens up some room in the fridge for me. So this is a really good way to use up milk. I was really kind of worried because she is giving quite a bit. I'm only saving about 1 gallon a day, and I'm giving the rest of it to like the cats or the dogs or the chickens, and so that's working out. I was saving like 1.5 gallons, and that was just a little too much, a little too extra. So I do have one more thing I do want to show you though. Make a salt brine for this right here, and I have a timer set for it. This is the rest of the salt brine. I'm just going to keep it in case I need it for a little bit, and about 45 minutes, maybe about 42 minutes to go. It brines 2 hours per pound of cheese. So that was about 1 pound of cheese. I remember weighing that because I got 2 pounds out of the last batch that I made. I don't think I used enough either citric acid or enough rennet, or I didn't do something right, because this time I got 5 pounds of cheese. So that makes me much happier than 2. All right, so if you have any questions, leave them below. If you have any comments, maybe things that you do that helps out or that I could do better when making cheese, makes it easier, whatever it might be, leave it in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to be lovely lights today.